Welcome back to KION News at 11. We're sending it back over to the Weather Authority Center. Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca back. Dan, how's it going?
Doing all right here in the Weather Center. We are monitoring, obviously, the wind tonight and will be throughout the day tomorrow as this dry air mass settles in here across Central California. Let's take a live look from Domenico's on the wharf. You might be able to detect some movement of the boats there in the harbor as we do have some wind this evening. It's been occasionally gusting into some of the lower elevations, but it's really not too bad out there for most locations, just kind of breezy. And I just want to remind people, I mean, we're not expecting extreme wind with this system. It's just going to be windy. I mean, just kind of normal windy conditions that we see in some areas. Like if you live in the Salinas Valley, it's windy every summer afternoon. And we're not talking winds that are stronger than that, anywhere. But, they're going to be in some areas where not as windy typically. Up in the hills, sometimes during the summer, it's kind of calm up in the hills. And we're going to have some wind in those locations. And it's that combination with the dry air, which is going to cause our concern for critical fire weather. So we're hoping we don't have any fires over the next 36 hours or 48 hours or so. But if we do, they could spread rapidly. So you need to be prepared for that. Right now, temperatures cooling off a bit. We're in the 50s for most locations around the bay. Some spots already dipping into the 40s. So we do that cool air mass in place. It is moving into the region. So expect it to be a little chilly tomorrow morning when you wake up, and perhaps even more so in the coming mornings as this dry air mass settles in. But as I mentioned, occasionally gusty winds tonight expected. The sky is expected to stay clear. We might have a few low clouds here and there, but ultimately way more clearness than the cloud. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 7:18, and that wind's going to keep going for most locations on and off overnight, and then pick up again tomorrow afternoon. Where is this wind coming from? Well, we've got a couple of bigger scale weather systems that we're just kind of in between right now. There's an area of low pressure digging into the Great Basin. So this is a deep low pressure center. And then we have a pretty strong ridge of high pressure sitting off in the Pacific. So these are kind of the opposite. In, the wind, it tends to blow from high pressure to low pressure. Now, I know the high is down here, so you're thinking, oh, it's coming this way. Well, it's actually more a large scale circulation. We can see the clockwise flow around the high all the way in the clouds up here. So we can track that trajectory here. And then you've got low pressure right here. So we're blowing toward the low pressure, but the low pressure is also spinning and basically just funneling wind right into Central California here. Initially today, that was onshore, coming off the water, bringing moist air in off of the Pacific, but that transitions overnight tonight into a more northerly or even northeasterly flow, which is very dry. The air mass behind it is cold, and cold air does not hold as much moisture as warm air, so we're already starting at a deficit of moisture, and as that air reaches the coast, comes down off the mountain ranges, it dries further as it heats up, and you basically get a very dry air mass. So that's the concern. Some wind and very dry air here over the next 36 hours or so. Let's talk about that wind overnight. Most areas, if you live in a valley bottom, you're not going to have a ton of wind overnight. The winds will kind of die down. But if you live on the ridges, and in some cases the lower elevations to the south or southeast of a mountain range, we do get what's called this downsloping wind. And Santa Cruz is one area that I have highlighted for that, and also the Santa Clara Valley and also the Big Sur coast. These areas will see that downsloping wind overnight. The air gets especially dry in those zones. So that's why I've been kind of pointing out Santa Cruz as one area that I'm more concerned about than other areas, simply just because of all of the homes and infrastructure that exists within, our wildland areas or close to it. So these areas are going to be dry and windy overnight. Again, this is 28 miles per hour in Santa Cruz at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then on and on throughout the day, we'll continue to see those winds coming out of the northeast, down slope of the hills. We'll start to see them pick up in places like Salinas and Watsonville during the day tomorrow, but ultimately, most of that wind is going to be over the hills and in exposed areas. Late tomorrow night, the wind stays back in the hills. Most valley bottoms will start to calm down. And tomorrow, by the way, I would show you our cloudcast, but not expecting any clouds. It's going to be sunny tomorrow, just windy and dry. Here's a look at your temperature forecast, though. Tomorrow, we're going to start you off up in Santa Cruz County, and Santa Cruz might actually be the hot spot tomorrow. 79 degrees, downsloping winds. Temperatures continue to warm as they get to the lower elevations. Upper 70s in Capitola, Scotts Valley, Felton, mid 70s to Boulder Creek, low 70s up in the higher terrain. So it'll be warm tomorrow across Santa Cruz County, but also dry and windy. 77 Watsonville, Corralito, so you might get close to 80 tomorrow. That's an area that always gets downsloped pretty good. So just north of Watsonville, if we hit 80, it would not be shocked tomorrow. 75 Salinas, upper 70s Gilroy and Hollister tomorrow, even San Juan Bautista in the upper 70s. And we'll get back to 70 in Marina as well. On the Monterey Peninsula, low 70s Monterey and Carmel, but upper 60s in Pacific Grove. And then down south, just a lot of 70s I've got the Big Sur Valley in the upper 70s. You could close in on 80 degrees as well tomorrow afternoon. So those downslope areas will be our hot spots tomorrow afternoon. 7-day forecast for coastal cities showing the temperatures warm back up a little bit. On Saturday, our lows are a little cool for the weekend, but highs will be above normal really for the next 7 days. I'm watching next Thursday to Friday. Some models are clipping us with the weather system, which could bring some light rain to the region. We would certainly take that as we look at our inland forecast. Also, temperatures looking pretty seasonable through the weekend, maybe even a little bit above next week. So we've got to get through these next couple of days. Of course, we'll be watching things for you. And you at home, obviously, just pay attention to your surroundings. If you see smoke, if you smell smoke, call the authorities right away, especially if you live out in those more wildernessy areas.